Mexico.
Growing up in Chicago in the early 90s, the same situation was happening. I've been in Chicago where a person came into my house and knocked on the door to come and get me early in the morning, 6:30 in the morning, and said, come with me, man. It's a crate of guns in the alley. And I got up and ran out there, and sure enough, there was a crate of guns. And during that time when we in it, you're not thinking about where did the guns just come from. You know, you never think about that type of stuff, like where did the guns come from and why are they here. But now that I'm older, I can kind of tell you that it's a diabolical plot. Nothing is stopped. The guns are still there. The guns are still being placed in these different strategic communities. It's a plan. It's not out in Bridgeview. It's not out in, Westmount. They're putting it in the hundreds for sure.
No more delays, she wrote.
So, taking a break from the news, this is WD3, and this is your Hill Report news break. We're talking the real Chicago, the violence that has overtaken Chicago, the spirit of brother against brother in Chicago that needs to be reversed. We need to make sure that we find strength in numbers and not look to harm one another. There are mysterious questions about where do these young men without jobs, without employment, where do they have the money to buy military style weapons and obtain the cartridges or the rounds to fire these weapons? That is the question that needs to be answered. Let's get deeper into the real Chicago, where the DNC are going to be glorifying themselves in a convention. But this is a Chicago that's been plaguing its citizens for years, even decades.
We have heard from the African-American community in Chicago as they're fed up with the amount of spending on the migrant situation in that city. We can put the stats up on the screen. With the crisis that Chicago is facing today, violent crime up 11% in just 2 years. There's been over $400 million spent on migrants since 2022. Public school enrollment is down because people are fleeing the city. 17% of elementary school students are proficient in math, just 17%. And guess what's the worst part about the education system is they are passing through these kids who cannot even read at or near grade level. So Tio, you wouldn't know about anything you just described that you're seeing at the ground level, at the street level in that city by listening to the state's governor, Pritzker. He said this.
We've demonstrated to the country that Democrats deliver in Chicago and in the state of Illinois. Workers' rights, voting rights, civil rights, reproductive rights. We have guaranteed those things in this state. So when all these people come from around the country, they get to see what the Democratic agenda looks like in action.
To that you say what, Tio?
Well, what I would like to say is take the camera crew on 79th Street, seriously, right? Take a look at the real Chicago, what everybody's trying to hide. Before the DNC came to Chicago, there were a lot of homeless encampments over there on the near west side of Chicago. They've cleaned up the areas right now, and you won't think homeless people ever live there, but the reality is this here. When you talk about the levels, let's say gun violence, for example, Chicago is the only city in our nation that has over 400 homicides every year, no matter what year it is. Over 400, all the way from 400 to 700, 800 homicides a year. More work needs to be done to reduce gun violence in Chicago. And at the same time, we have to help people with the illegal immigrants. Some people say migrants, but they're really illegal immigrants. They come to Chicago, cities like Chicago, New York, and they're receiving more benefits than African-American people have ever received. I receive phone calls from homeless people, all this homeless African-American women with their kids. They cannot find proper homes. They will never receive the same level of resources. Yeah. And word has it that the migrants illegal immigrants are receiving what you say. I haven't confirmed this, but some stories say that they're receiving $2,000, $3,000 a month in link cards. Those are like the food stamps type of assistance. They're receiving free rent. I can't say this much. There's a suburban area in Chicago called Oak Park. There's a story out there where the migrants, illegal immigrants, they paid their rent up for 2 years. and they provided them with money every month to take care of themselves.
We covered the story right here on
African-American people have been waiting a long time, and we never received those type of resources.
Tio, you have said a lot, and we hear your frustration. And to your point, the very people that this administration said they were out to help the most are getting hurt the most, according to what you're describing. They're in Chicago. Those folks are. It's a tough situation, and we appreciate you joining us. We hope to have you back on soon, Tio.
Joe, you did such a great job. You answered every question. You knew all the facts.
You know, the internet allows us to look deeper and deeper into every story and not just accept the gloss and the glamour that's going to be shown to you about Chicago. Even the protesters, they're protesting things that are across the ocean. They're protesting policies that are across the world. But what about what's going on in the very inner cities that you all are holding your conventions in? This is the real Chicago. We're going to uncover the mask and discover why young men aren't thriving, but they're dying.
Hey man, look, right? I just came across this alarming video, man. Everybody in this car is dead, man, due to gun violence, man. And I'm speaking to Chicago trenches right now, man. 051 Melly, Gyro City Motor, Boss Smooth, Tail, all gone, man. And it looked like they riding around enjoying themselves, man. I bet you that these guys didn't have no clue that they'll all be gone so soon, man. These were some young brothers. They lost their life at young ages, man, through the gun violence in Chicago. If this video ain't enough to make you boys want to sit down and chill and don't think it and keep thinking it won't happen to you, I don't know what to tell you, bro. This video alone should make you want to sit down, bro. It's pictures I done seen with everybody in the picture dead. Over 6, 7 dudes gone. Come on, Chicago.
Some of these neighborhoods, I've had young brothers tell me that they would just go into the alley and find a box full of guns, and that nobody knew where the guns came from. Nobody knew where the guns came from. You know, so this is all. I think the the Mexican government's corrupt. We know the U.S. government's corrupt. We know that that these drugs just seem to miraculously get back and forth to the United States. I think it's probably much more complex than any of us knows, right? So anyway, so here's what they're.
Of celebrating Mexican heritage in Chicago came to an abrupt end because of gang violence at the Cinco de Mayo parade. ShotSpotter went off after gunfire was detected in the area, and that's when the parade was canceled. The parade travels through Little Village from Cermak Road to Damon Avenue for a route that's a little over a mile long. Looking at the video, you can see kids enjoying horses, traditional music, and of course dancing. All of that fun and excitement, though, for the family came to a screeching halt about an hour after the parade stepped off. And this is why video shows rival gangs showing up along the parade route. It was a war of words as gang signs were flashed from the crowds. Chicago police tell us the parade was cut short because of safety. Yeah, you can see that chaos right there by looking at your screen. At one point, even shuffles with police. 25 gang members were arrested. Some of them were in possession of guns. Right now, charges are still pending.
Well, thank you all for taking a news break with me, WD3. This is your Hill Report news break. We're tackling big subjects, and we're using the real news, right? The real news, your posts, to chronicle these subjects. I want you all to like, share, and subscribe. Be a participant in history. Be a participant in what's going on in our world. Well, this is WD3. Like, share, subscribe, your Hill Report news break, and check out our YouTube channel, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. This is WD3 Hill Report News Break, and we are out.
¡Ay, Miguel! ¡Miguel! ¡Hey!